Hello, hello. This is Kate, your Dublin dietitian. Welcome to the graduation workshop. I had a great time seeing so many of you in the 7-day challenge. I know a handful of lurkers, I know a handful of very active people, but a lot of people really just succeeding and crushing some quick goals, even in as little as 7 days. So welcome to the graduation workshop. We're going to go over more information about how to set habits for change. I know I had an early post about mindset, and we're going to drill into that even a little more because it really is very, very important. I'm going to talk about understanding individualized food programming for if you kind of hit a wall or you plateau and you need to go deeper. And then how to make any of these changes sustainable and how to kind of find that balance of structure and healthy living with enjoyable life balance. But first, before we get into that, I want to celebrate you guys. So thank you to everyone who is involved for participating, sharing, commenting with each other, cheering each other on, and more. Like, community energy is so critical. And it's, there we go. And it's basically what my goal is really what I want to aim for, to help refocus people on their eating, learning what may be going on in their own bodies, and getting you looking in the right direction to heal. I know that trying to eat healthy sometimes feels complicated, frustrating, and lonely. So I'm thankful to each of you who stepped up to help create this community, sharing your personality, your fun energy, recipes, pictures, and all of that. Again, I say it at the beginning, but the more you put in, the more we all get out of it. So thank you for those who are helping keep that energy up. And I also want to say congratulations. You guys had some amazing wins in as little as 7 days. You know, people said, I've lost some weight, learning to overcome temptation, feeling better, having better bowel movements and digestion, and this excitement, this renewed hope, focused on the bloating belly, and that did get better. People who are saying just learning a lot. So I'm really grateful. That's a huge part of my goal. That's why it's the empowerment challenge. I want to empower you with information. People commenting about the bloat and the digestion, more energy, able to get out and walk more, less pain, sleeping better, losing weight. So just all in all, like, I just want you to see in 7 days what you can do. Like, everybody, you have so much potential for health and success and to live the life you want, to strive to thrive. So remember to stay connected. Remember to friend anybody in the group you feel like you vibed with. And I have a permanent Facebook group you can come check out as well. It's called Thrive. It's Next Level Nutrition for Inflammation, IBS, Weight Loss, and Energy. Because staying connected and having that group support and that surrounding environment is one of those pillars of success. So let's get to it. I am going to show you how, sort of an overview for creating a sustainable transformation so you can keep the momentum going even after the challenge has finished. And just to remind you, like, there is nothing to sell you. So leave your credit card alone. Don't worry, pay attention. If you want to talk more in depth about your specific situation and you want to look at optimizing your health through either accountability coaching or lab work or lifestyle work, we can set that up later, and you can always reach out to me and I'll kind of talk about those options at the end. But right now, seriously, no sales. I just want to provide more information and give you the next steps. Like I said in the welcome video, I don't have time to give you everything. You may have noticed I do try to cram a lot into my videos with hyperspeed talking, but there's always more. This has been decades of research and study going on, and there's just so many nuances. On its surface, health is simple, but once you start to get into nuances, it gets ridiculously complex. So I am still trying to give you the best of me, and you have my full efforts here for this roughly hour presentation. And hopefully you get some more little aha moments and takeaways that you can use. And a lot of people think the hardest part of any journey is getting started, and it's definitely one of the big hurdles. It does require a lot of energy to get a plane moving down a runway, for example. So you've got your proverbial plane moving, you jumped into the challenge, and maybe a friend helped give you a little butt kick to do it, but now you need to take off and keep cruising, keep that momentum rolling. And then you need to figure out how to land at your destination, because the truth is, keeping results is the hard part. That's where we see all this like yo-yo dieting type of things. So you've overcome that first hurdle. The hard part now, you've gotten past that first hard part. So now you need to sustain that progress until you reach the next steps or hit that next goal. But if you do that incorrectly, you might come crashing back down before you really even get to where you're trying to go. 7 days is not a lifetime. 7 days is just a kickstart. Knowing how to get started is great, but it's not enough. You need to know each phase of a health journey, how to take off, how to progress and sustain, and then how to land and maintain that under all conditions and all stresses. So the 7-day challenge, really, it can only take you so far, but I do hope it gave you a good kickstart. And, because who's felt like this before? You go rocketing off on a new plan, you hit your goals, or you hit some of your goals, or get partway there, and then you come crashing down. You start to work out and you stop. You start tracking calories, lose some weight, and then you have a bad weekend and you stop. You try the whole 30, plow through 30 days, and then you revert and put back all the weight on again. You lose weight, and then you work out and you say, oh, well, I deserve a binge night. That's very common. So don't do that with this 7-day challenge. Don't think, yay, I made it 7 days. I'm going out for a party this weekend and I just am done. But the sad truth is, we have built this habit of starting over. We actually unconsciously seek out failure because we've done it so much. It feels normal. Our subconscious is actually stuck in this rut of sabotaging self-talk. And we're going to talk more about that. But the idea is this mental muscle memory. If you think of it like a sled going down a hill over and over and over, the more it goes down that exact same path, the more that snowy track gets made, and it gets harder and harder to get out of it. But that's what our subconscious self-talk is, and we'll get to that more. But if that does sound like you, this crash, start and crash, that's considered kind of the old model. And we want to transition you into a new sustainable model. So that's kind of like comparing the crash dieting versus the personalized lifestyle. And I think most of us are honestly quite familiar with this idea. We think of it for weight loss, but really it can apply to any health issue, that uses an elimination diet. So you get your autoimmune list, or your low FODMAPs list, or your, nightshade-free anti-inflammatory arthritis list. You dive in head first, and you go and you go and you go, and maybe you're cutting calories and counting calories, you're restricting foods. Oh, maybe you realize that's a trigger food, you pull back a little more, and oh, that's a trigger food, pull back a little more, but you never figure out how to stop this retraction and moving forward. You never figure out how to add back food safely while keeping progress going. Or people on like a really strict diet, following this phase 1, phase 2, or, these 30 days, you get to the end, but you never realize how to get back to kind of an enjoyable lifestyle with it. Maybe you were able to say no to social gatherings for 30 days, but you go, I don't want to do that for the rest of my life. And then you feel trapped, or you feel deprived, you crave these forbidden foods or these illegal foods, and then you give in. And usually people give in on an extreme level, usually having more than just a little sample. And instead you have a little sample, which leads to a big sample, escalates, and then you decide you've ruined everything and you completely crash, fall off the bandwagon for a weekend, a week, a month, and then the guilt and the self-doubt sets in. The belief that you are a failure, that you can't do this, that I can't, I won't, I don't wanna. Until, maybe a week or a month later, or New Year's resolution later, you rally the troops, you rekindle your willpower, and you decide to try again, or try something else again. And you try a new diet, or a new food list, or new this. And in the end, you wind up just continually telling yourself, no diet works for me, I can't do this, this is my life. Does that sound like you? People you know? It's not a way to live. That is not a way to thrive. So instead, we want to become personalized lifestyle builders. You build your transformation plan around the root cause and fix that root cause. And then you get the life needs and your individual situations with family and work and whatnot, instead of the other way around. Instead of saying no to your life and focusing on nothing but food, you say yes to life and incorporate it all in. You make new routines, new lifestyles. And you really get to zero in on who you want to be and how to make it happen. And that's part of the mindset work again. And then you need to know how to moderate your nutrition and exercise so you feel good and you see long-term goals, and it can become routine, reactionary, almost mindless habits for the good instead of mindless habits for the bad. You learn to actually heal from the inside out to reach your best health and energy. Find that vibrant life. Get back to your favorite activities and hobbies. Have the energy to keep up with your kids or get into a sport or run a half marathon or 5K, whatever your goal is. Go hike in China. I've had all these goals from people, and it's great to see them get back to it. So a couple examples, because this can happen. This is not unobtainable by any means. So Ronnie was one of my early clients, and she started with a lower overall symptom score. So that's why I had you look at that, so you understand that range of things. She was only a 36. So already in her mind and in mine, she was on the healthier end of things. No major chronic illnesses. She was more an athlete looking to improve her performance. Clean up her diet, drop a few pounds. But her big chronic issue was migraines. She would have them almost weekly, and they would knock her out for 3 to 5 days, and she didn't know why. So again, in 5 days, she dropped 5 pounds, stopped feeling bloated, and we got her migraines down over time to lasting only 1 day, once a month. And we did that in less than 30 days. And as her inflammation dropped, she saw was her workout intensity climbed. That meant she had more energy and she was able to push harder and burn more calories and train more efficiently. So it doesn't have to be just about digestion. Inflammation is at the root of everything. So when we reduce inflammation, it helps in all ways on all those things in the symptom score. For those of you who follow football, maybe you've heard of Tom Brady, kind of a famous guy in the football world, but he is one of the oldest quarterbacks ever to play, and he is a huge proponent of an anti-inflammatory diet and lifestyle as part of his life regimen. So it's really, really beneficial for pain from anything, whether it's migraines, excessive training, not excessive, but high intensity training, or other things where inflammation causes pain. And then it can work with GI. I mean, that's actually where the MRT food sensitivity test first really was focusing, was IBS, migraines, and fibromyalgia. So IBS was a big part of that. And I did start with GI issues with my clients in the beginning. And this was a woman I worked with who had Crohn's disease. And again, in that general diet cleanup, like you guys were doing, she dropped 5 pounds, 5 days. And then we kept going with her personal plan, her personal Immunocalm diet program, which uses that MRT food sensitivity program. And in 30 days, she got her symptom score, even with Crohn's, from 108 down to 48. Huge reduction in 30 days. So now you see why I kind of was trying to encourage you all to do that symptom score. I really hope that helps you understand what these results mean. But essentially, as she says here in her quote, it improved her quality of life. Like, that is the goal. When we don't have as much pain, when we don't have as much fatigue, when we don't have as much anxiety, when we don't have the GI issues. I've worked with people who are afraid to have a social life. They wouldn't date because they were afraid to go out to eat because they never knew when they'd have to run to the bathroom. So we want to improve quality of life. That is the overall goal. And then some of you may know her from our Gutsy Gals video podcast, a prior personal trainer, rugby player, and just all around active super mama. Andy was also one of my clients in the past year or so. So her health spiraled down and her weight jumped up for unknown reasons about 7 years ago. And she came to me as a self-proclaimed train wreck of health, including a mess of a digestive system, going to the bathroom an average of 7 times a day, and so much pain. And she'd had hip replacements and all these surgeries. She required 2 canes in order to walk at the beginning of the COVID shutdown. She had this entire team of health professionals working with her, from oh gosh, I don't even know, endocrinologist to physical therapy to her gastroenterologist to her primary care, and on and on and on. And basically she said they all were sort of shrugging, going, we don't know what else to do. We've kind of hit our limit of abilities. We've tried, all these different medications. And that's kind of when she came in and searched me out, and we connected and realized it was worth trying to see what we could do from a functional medicine perspective. And within 6 weeks, she said that for the first time in years, she wasn't tied to the toilet all day. She finally had energy to pull out her resistance bands and start doing some basic exercises. And after a full 10 weeks, she was off the crutches, able to play with her daughter and bike with her husband, which she hadn't done in a long, long time. And she was able to drop her medications from 23 down to 5. And as we kept going, kept looking deeper and kept the progress going, in a full year, she was able to drop to her goal weight. She made it all the way down to 135 pounds. I want to say she started at like 170, if not higher. And her symptom score went from 170 plummeted down to 38. So energy, digestion, pain, mobility, sleep, mood, weight, all because of inflammation, food, and GI health. We did food sensitivities, dealt with H. pylori, and she got the quality of life back. So, and so on. It goes and goes. So the reminder is, if you remember this picture from the challenge, it just shows how chronic inflammation is at the root of so many issues. And this is the way I start to address healing in people. And people get results because inflammation's at the core of almost all of it. So whether that's losing weight, gaining muscle, because they're actually absorbing and utilizing needed nutrients finally, being empowered to learn their specific food needs to reduce the unique inflammatory foods, reducing seasonal allergies, chronic sinus issues, and throat clearing, getting control of blood pressure, diabetes medication, and so much more beyond just IBS. All of that is stemming from gut health and inflammation. So keep focusing on it. Keep doing what we've been doing. Keep eating the way you've been eating. Keep learning on how to reduce that inflammation in your body. So I really hope these examples drive home the importance of anti-inflammatory diet, personalizing it when you need to, and also lifestyle. It's all important for health. And as you keep going, how do you make the program stick? Well, so I have this, if you haven't noticed, for those of you who have followed me on Facebook for a little while, you kind of see I'm constantly researching and sharing things. I have this just voracious need to understand things and to know more. And in my 20 years of studying health and wellness, working in different settings, I've learned there's no one size fits all direct answer. I've worked yoga studios, gyms, chiropractic offices, clinicians, hospitals. And every professional does like to often think their niche will solve it all. The chiropractor I worked with believed he could cure everything with chiropractic, doctors doing their thing. And and even dietitians, a lot of them are like, you can fix everything with food. And don't get me wrong, I do believe that nutrition is a huge part of it, but it's also the digestion. It's that gut health. Because it's not just what we eat, it's also what we can digest, absorb, and metabolize. But it's also all of these other factors on this foundations of health wheel. Each area affects the other. And if one segment is off, it can throw off the whole system. So physicality to me does include proper alignment. So that might include chiropractic work or corrective exercise to fix joints. And then movement, posture, sleep, and sleep can be your bed. And, are you sleeping with good alignment? Is the sleep quality? Is it good enough quantity? Stress management. And that's all stress: mental stress, physical stress, emotional stress, chemical stress, biological stress, all of it. But it's all held together in that middle. It starts with that tight hub of mindset. And then it's held together around the edge with discipline and accountability. If you don't have the mindset to make the habit changes and you don't hold it together by being accountable to yourself, being disciplined to yourself, or maybe having someone help hold you accountable at first, it will all fall apart. So a very simple example of this interconnectedness: when you're stressed, usually you don't sleep well. When you're stressed, usually you don't eat well. When you're stressed mentally, it can cause your blood sugar levels to rise. And when all that's happening, if you're eating junk food, if your blood sugar levels are up, you now don't sleep well. So stress causes bad food causes more stress causes problems sleeping, bad sleep causes you to be more susceptible to stress, bad sleep makes you eat badly, and so on and so forth. So when your body is inflamed, these things don't work together. So, and some of you commented on that. In as little as 7 days, you noticed your sleep improved and you had more energy. That's not a coincidence. We sleep better when our body is not under that chemical stress of inflammation. So tonight, let's dive into the mistakes people make in trying to change their lives around. Top 3 mistakes. 1, dipping in doubtfully and relying on willpower and a wish. 2, following cookie cutter food lists. And 3, believing your food plan has to be all or none. So mistake number 1, dipping in doubtfully and relying on willpower and a wish. I've mentioned a couple times these pillars of success, so you can pause this on the recording and read over it. I don't have time to get into all of it, but like the foundations, they're kind of like the pillars that hold the mindset of the wheel of health. I need to get a new visual, but it's harder to maintain those healthy behavior changes and sustain them if these are not there helping bolster it. So tonight we're going to talk about identity, because this really is the start of things. Who you believe you are and who you hang around with dictates who you are in the material world. And you've probably heard the saying, your thoughts become your actions. So it's really important to start controlling and rewriting your thoughts. For example, if you tell yourself you hate the gym, I don't want to go, you probably won't go. If you say, oh, I suck at something, you probably will. So we are really good at justifying our choices, but that's a battle between who we think we are and who we want to be. We have one voice that tells us who we think we are, and that's, I am lazy, I'm fat, I'm sick, I'm not strong enough, I don't have the willpower, and the voice going who we want to be. But I want to be strong, I want to be healthy. We have this vision, we have this image, and there's a conflict when we cannot change that negative voice. So we have to start saying about ourselves new things. The other saying, there's another quote, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. That becomes part of your identity, because if you're always hanging out with people who don't take care of themselves, they don't exercise, they eat poorly, chances are you're going to pick up on those behaviors. If you hang around very negative, judgmental, critical people, you are likely to start thinking in those negative ways as well. And on a deeper level, negative thoughts that create stress, anxiety, or depression have a literal effect on your hormones. Boosting stress and depression hormones harms the body and creates inflammation. So with all of that, you need to work to standardize your environment and beliefs to get the results you want. To create lasting change, you need to shift your identity, or you're going to just revert back to your existing self-image and continue perpetuating that cycle. So the first step to create a new identity is to see your true potential, to actually believe in your true potential. So here's the thing, most people start out on a diet thinking they don't have this great potential. Again, I failed before, I'm going to fail again, I can't do this. And when they don't think they have great potential, what kind of action are they going to take? Usually small, fearful action. They kind of half-ass it. If you take small action, what kind of results are you going to get? Unimpressive results, usually small, fearful results. And what does that tell you about your belief? well, I knew I was going to fail. I knew it wouldn't work. I knew this wasn't going to be a good diet. I knew, I believe, I can't. I don't have the potential. And it just refills the loop. Self-fulfilling, saying you don't have the potential, you're never going to be able to make it work. So what you need to do is to be able to spin that around, where instead of this whirlpool spiral downward, we can spiral up. So when you believe that you have amazing potential, and you all do, you're no different from anyone else, you just need to start to look at that potential, figure out what's going on. Is it that you haven't been accountable because you don't have the belief and you don't have the identity? Or is it that you're trying everything, you just haven't quite figured out what your individual issue is, your barrier? Either way, you have potential. You have potential to be healthy. And once you believe that and you dive into that, then you can take that massive action. And that's what the 7-day challenge is about, revealing that massive potential that you have. So a lot of you took that massive action. You dove into 7 days, you followed this plan, you even barreled through detox symptoms, and you saw massive results. You saw weight loss, you saw reduced bloating, you saw improved digestion, you saw increased energy, and whatever it was. And this keeps growing because you got those results. As you take more action, you get more results, and it gives you more of a belief in your potential. So you stretch your actions more and more and higher, and you keep going up. But it is always running and self-fulfilling. You have to keep filling this cycle. You have to keep filling this vortex of energy. You don't just get through the 7-day challenge, get that action, get the results, and suddenly crush everything in life. Like, I wish you could. I wish 7 days of focus would mean the rest of your life is easy peasy and you hit every goal you want and overcome every vice you have. But it builds and it ebbs and it flows. So take the 7-day challenge momentum and go. But remember, if you have a bad day and you slip, that builds negative momentum. So keep focusing on the positive things, the things you've overcome, the small victories. Keep believing in the massive potential and taking that massive action. Small changes yield small results. And if you can sustain that, that's good. Big changes yield big results. So yeah, this 7-day challenge was designed to instill the belief in that you can succeed. You have the potential. Your body can feel better, but in and of itself, without modifications, it's not really sustainable on its own for the majority of people. Because most likely you barreled through those 7 days using willpower only. And I had a couple of people commenting, like, it was really hard to fight the cravings, but I'm going to do it. And that's good. But willpower's finite. 1 week isn't too hard to push through, but willpower also ebbs and flows with our energy and our busy lives. It has limits. It has barriers. We've all experienced this. You can stick to anything for a little while, but cravings and temptation hit. A long, hard day, and you give in to convenience foods. Maybe you do a drive-through. Maybe you had a fight with some coworker and you're angry and you want wine when you get home. You know, New Year's, come on, we all know how New Year's resolutions go. Who hasn't made a New Year's resolution before and broken it within 3 months, 3 weeks, 3 days, 3 hours? So when we just rely on motivation and willpower, it doesn't usually last. Willpower and motivation are emotions. They are limited. We need discipline. We need routine. So how do we do that? So let me ask, do you think when you go to brush your teeth, how am I going to hold the toothbrush? Looking at the clock, what time am I going to do it? How do I squeeze the toothpaste on? How many strokes am I going to do am I going to go up and down or do circles today? You don't think about it. You do it. It's just part of your routine. Your mind can zone out to other things and this still is going to happen. It's just part of the morning wake up or your wind down at night. You don't have to decide to do it. It's almost like a ritual. It's like clockwork in your day, part of the sequence of events, like a domino chain that occur. And you don't really even have to think about it while you're doing it. Or Here's another one. Who checks all the notifications on their phone before they even get out of bed in the morning? Or who mindlessly pause for your phone as soon as you feel it vibrate to see what notifications popping up? Do you think about it, or is it just a reflex, a habit? Or I have a lot of people going through this challenge that they say one of the habits they didn't realize was kind of a mindless habit was grabbing a glass of wine after work just because it was their habit. They get home, they hang up their jacket, they kick off their shoes, maybe they change, and they poured themselves a glass of wine. They didn't even think about it. It was a reflex that was happening essentially. We are creatures of habit and routine. You know, kids always picking the same desk at school, people always gravitating towards the same treadmill at the gym, bodies waking up early on the weekends just because you've been waking up early during the week. It just is nature. We become habituated and we get this idea the body likes homeostasis, it doesn't like change. And this is all part of the habit creation process. Everything we do in our life that is lasting is because it has become a routine habit. We have a trigger moment, an action, and a reward. We have a sequence of events. When A happens, then B happens, then C. So an example, when I wake up in the morning, as soon as my feet touch the floor, I walk to the bathroom, go to the bathroom, and I do a weigh-in. Now, for me, sometimes, yes, the reward is seeing the progress, but for me, the bigger reward is this is the first way to set my mindset focused on my health and fitness goals. Now, I'm not saying everyone needs to weigh themselves first thing in the morning. That's very personal, depending on kind of what your emotional attachment to that scale is. But for me, it's a way to wake up, and kind of the first thought is, I'm focused on my health. Technically, I'm not super focused on the number on the scale, but it's sort of like the symbol of that. And that puts my mindset in that track first thing in the morning and then kicks off the next set of actions. I walk to my nightstand where my mug of water is, drink some water while I go out to the kitchen and make coffee. So it's action A to B to C. So some people like to get their gym gear ready at night, so that can be that trigger. You see it in the morning, reminds you to get up, get moving. Then you get to the gym. That creates some rewards from the great endorphins and the ability to be like, yeah, I did that. You feel good. And then that sets up the next action. Maybe you get breakfast there at the gym, or maybe you go home and have a healthy smoothie. But it puts you in that healthy mindset. So whatever it is. Now, bad habits are set the same way. Trigger, social dinner. Action, well, it's a special time, so I'm going to go ahead and indulge. Immediate reward, happy endorphins. But unless you have the mindset to let yourself enjoy that treat, sometimes this now leads back to that original diagram of belief and potential. And people who aren't able to plan their social events into their overall goals sometimes now start to beat themselves up, say they failed, give up, binge all weekend. So we got to be careful. Another one, trigger, get home from work. Action, it's snack time. Immediate reward, happy endorphins, I deserve this treat. And the cycle continues, perpetuating habitual snacking rather than conscious decisions to fuel with food, to heal with nourishment. So is this all making sense? Hope so. So there's also this common cycle of self-deprecation. And sadly, too many of us are too familiar with this. Trigger, practically anything. Action, immediately, the voice in your head starts to speak self-hate, guilt, shaming. It is reactive. It is not even a conscious thought for people. You have just grown muscle memory to it. And the reward, allowing yourself to fall off the wagon. It's easier. It doesn't require the willpower or the discipline. It's like a self-justification to quit, to give up, to stop healing, to stop respecting your body. It all comes down to that mindset. Those neural pathways about self-talk can be rewired. Like a muscle, you can let bad thoughts atrophy and good thoughts get strengthened with practice, training, and patience. It's not easy. It's sometimes even painful, but it is doable with persistence. It is real. There is research on visualization and practicing self-talk and behavior change. Athletes do this, performers do it, orators do it, actors and actresses do it. So neuroplasticity is the science of changing the wiring of the brain. So check out the book on neuroplasticity, psychocybernetics. You can research this stuff. It's out there. So good or bad, We have these cycles working in our body, affecting our nervous system, our automatic mental thoughts, our hormones for stress or hunger. So set up good triggers to help set good actions to boost the rewards and boost your belief in your potential. So the key here is to think of it like building a house, brick by brick by brick. Building one piece of the routine on top of the next, slowly laying each brick as needed, which brick goes in which order and where in the house. That starts to create those lasting habits that create lasting change. You have to start shifting your habits away from the old you into the new you. So you stop draining all of your energy, fighting yourself, relying on that willpower, that every internal conflict and argument over every decision throughout the day. So instead, start to break your day into little segments. When you wake up in the morning, that's the start of a segment. What is the thing you want to think that can put you in that good mindset? When you're driving to work, that's a new segment, or driving wherever. Put on some pump me up music or listen to a podcast or something to, again, put you in that mindset. When you get to work or you get to school, you get to your home office, or you know, whatever it is, your next segment, what are you going to do to start that new segment in the right place? And so on. Break your day into these segments and always get in the habit of starting each new segment with a new habit. So for me, again, first thing in the morning, I get up, weigh myself, I get my water. Then I go to the gym listening to pump me up music, come home, have breakfast. Then before I start work, I sit down and I meditate and I focus on my schedule, and that gets me in the mindset to be productive for that. When work is over, next segment, so on and so forth. So that's mistake number one, all about mindset. Start with the mind to make new habits, build that great potential, train positivity and discipline into your psychology in order to make lasting changes. Now that I say it like that, it's actually like a 3-in-1 secret. So bonus for you all. That's probably the longest one. So mistake number 2, following cookie cutter food lists. That example of mindset and belief in your identity and ability boosted by habits is the start. But now we look at 2, instead getting into a personalized lifestyle plan. So if you are plateauing, if you swear you've tried everything, you've followed every diet, and you're not feeling better or losing weight, again, once you get momentum going by setting these manageable goals, making these small segments, you can then start to really zero in on your plan and personalize it. If you noticed in the 7-day challenge, we didn't talk specific calories, specific macronutrient breakdowns, meal timing, exercise fuel, personalizing supplements, didn't really get too much into sleep quality, didn't talk genetics. There just isn't time to do it all. But I prepped you with the bare basics, super bare basics. So diving in, we can actually see exactly what you need. Like anything, there's unhealthy, normal, and optimal. And everyone has different priorities and goals. This is more noted in areas where people can tell that they don't feel right or their best, but they keep getting told everything is normal. Your labs are normal. Your tests are normal. You're just getting older. Pain just happens. Fatigue just happens. It's just in your head. I don't see anything wrong. But you know you have felt better and you can feel better. If you want to think about something normal in America, at least, Homer Simpson is our, quote, normal American. And at this point, obesity is, quote, normal. Stress is the most common reason people go to the doctors. Low back pain is the most common reason for trips to the doctors. And it's normal, but it's not right. It is not optimal, and it is not how our bodies are supposed to live and thrive. So kind of going back to this, because of the massive role that inflammation plays in health and prevention, I utilize a unique blood test that tells us exactly what you can eat to start healing. It quantifies the amount of inflammation each food is creating in your body, and it's different for everyone. And so then we can start to heal much more quickly and then expand from there. So every person's different, but this is such a great place to start for 99% of people, because all of these things are affected by food sensitivities and inflammation. And again, if you look at that symptom score, all of those symptoms often can come back to that root cause of inflammation. And the top 3 causes of inflammation are food issues, lack of sleep, and various stresses in the body. Top 3 things that overflow our bucket for being able to handle inflammation and immune health. So for the most part, you all remove these generally inflammatory, addictive, damaging foods, or at least the ones that tend to be prone towards it. And you could see what 7 days difference made. So keep going. Try to do another week or so now that you're getting past that detox flu little hump. Take your time before challenging in new foods, testing just one new food every other day. Give yourself time to see if there's a reaction, or maybe you don't like it anymore. I've had people come back and be like, man, now that Diet Dr. Pepper tastes disgusting to me. I'm not craving it. Or, that pizza tasted really oily, or that food tasted really salty. So you may not even want some of that stuff if you keep going. So see if you can go for a full 30 days before challenging in new things. And we'll talk in a little bit on a later slide about kind of how to bring splurge foods and treat foods in once a week or twice. Now, if you didn't notice much difference in those 7 days, maybe no difference, or maybe not much of one, or maybe you didn't really lose a whole lot of weight, or you do keep going. So you follow this for another 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and then you hit a wall and you plateau and things just do not progress. Maybe your AIP isn't enough, or your low FODMAPs isn't enough, or you've been on one of those diets for like a year and you're just trudging through tiny little changes. Consider getting your program personalized to you and your body chemistry. So these are example lists of the most reactive foods some of my clients have had, and they can be foods you would normally think of as healthy, or heck, even specifically as anti-inflammatory. You can see these red reactive foods were causing massive amounts of inflammation and massive triggers. The yellow are also mild, moderate triggers. So things like salmon, spinach, ginger, things that we think of as healthy, but they were triggering migraines, bloating, fatigue, joint pain, swelling. So that's why it's good to dive even deeper sometimes. When we dive deeper and personalize, we can see exactly how to start rebalancing your body and what are your best food choices in a very quantified way. We don't just learn the risky foods to avoid, but we can also see exactly what are the safe, low inflammation foods, low immune triggering foods to eat. So we can have that starting point, and then basically can almost guarantee you're going to see results within a few weeks. And then slowly through a methodical process, we start to add things back in, because again, it shouldn't be restricted for life. So there are so many other ways to personalize based on your goals and your needs and what's going on. So for example, with GI health, as you've been learning this week, very intricate and complex, a whole tube of your body, and it can be affected by stress, throwing off your blood sugar, poor sleep, throwing off your hunger hormones, bad sleep leading to increased inflammation, bad gut bugs can trigger your IBS or bloating, and some of these nutrient deficiencies come in as well. And it is a vicious cycle. Even if you eat right, if you struggle to digest, metabolize, and absorb, you may not get all these needed nutrients for that GI health. And so now your GI health is bad, so you're not going to be able to absorb nutrients. And when you don't have the nutrients, your GI health is bad, and so on. It's a cycle. So test, personalize, and once you've gone as far as you can with generic plans, we can now dive into therapeutic, basically therapeutic medical nutrition therapy. And there's so many other ways you can dive deep and personalize this too. We can do cortisol curves, look at your stress hormones, adrenal health, do those nutrient profiles. There's genetic testing, and so much more. The stool test for the microbiome, look at your zonulin levels, look and see if you've got pathogens or parasites, and you don't have to have traveled to some other country to have them. They happen here. And they're all, basically, the functional medicine will be varied based on your goals, your health history, your medication, your travel history, your oral health, your work schedule, your workout program, and more. All of that literally can affect what's going on, the journey of you to where you're at. So kind of my point here is that if you feel like you have tried everything and it's not working, I can probably show you that you truly haven't tried everything and can come up with a legitimate lab or sample or trick or something that could give us more information, just a little tweak sometimes. And sometimes it is really simple. I had one person, we were going through our session, and her biggest thing, I am nauseous every morning, nauseous every morning. It's been going on forever. Turns out she didn't eat breakfast and she'd take her multivitamin on an empty stomach. And well, That's it. We fixed that. No more nausea. So side note, don't take a multivitamin on an empty stomach. It's not meant for that. You need foods and fats to help absorb that. Anyway, so there's so many puzzle pieces that conventional medicine is not even trained in. They don't even look at, they don't know about. This is the functional medicine realm. We have very different ways of handling things. Conventional medicine trained great for emergency situations, but when it comes to chronic issues, most of their training is, and for better or for worse, and there's reasons, it's a messy system that I've talked about in some Gutsy Gal videos, but they typically prescribe a pill and that is it for life. That is their method. Functional medicine wants to fix it. Functional medicine will do a lot more hand holding. We have more time to, and we can dig in and help try to alleviate the root cause problem so that you don't need those medicines long-term, hopefully, or can at least start to wean down. So be a Sherlock, be a detective, be relentless and empowered in your health and your body. You are the CEO of your body. So keep getting clues, testing, assessing, analyzing, tracking, and getting guidance. If you've watched any of the Gutsy Gal videos I share on the Facebook group or on my webpage, DublinDietitian.com, you hear us say it over and over. There are answers. Don't give up. Don't give up. Keep searching. So every person is different with different goals, and without that personalization, without that wiggle room, without being able to adapt it to your unique situation, it can be really hard to stick to any program, especially once that willpower starts to give out. So that covers a bit about the importance of diving into a personalized plan. Take the generic plan, run as long as you can, but if it's not working fast enough or it stops working, personalize. Test, don't guess. And that brings us to mistake number 3. The important piece in how to figure out that wiggle room and adaptability. This comes in once you've got good foundation habits set, once you've started to optimize your health. We've got to make it sustainable because, again, willpower only goes so far and life really does deserve a little bit of wiggle room. The best diet is one you can stick to. Have you heard that before? Probably, and it's true. A perfect diet plan, a perfect lifestyle plan, a perfectly organized schedule is useless without implementation. So again, individualize to your needs and then commit. Do it. Have the discipline to stick to it, but make sure it fits your life. So when it comes to weight loss, and actually I think I can work this both ways, weight loss or inflammatory issues. But it's a common thing. So we're going to kind of look at it. Once you create that flexibility and you have that foundation set, you can build your favorite foods or a social outing into your week and other mood boosting habits or those self-care moments, little indulgence. So yeah, chocolate, pizza, holiday treats, birthday treats. My clients do eventually get back to that point where they can have that without major repercussions, maybe a little fatigue. Sometimes I hear maybe a little bit of bloating, but nothing that sends them running, to the bathroom or to medications. It's just kind of what most of us feel when we put in kind of junk food in our body, but they can have that. They can enjoy it. They can get to the point where it's not really an issue. When it comes to weight loss, once the gut's rebalanced and the body is starting to chug correctly and all those assembly lines are moving along, they can create a negative energy balance on the days that they choose. So what does that mean? The key is to be able to mix and match to your schedule to suit your lifestyle. So the example here, let's say somebody loses weight on 1,800 calories. Now remember, that may not be your number. Each calorie calculation is unique to each individual and their gender, age, weight, activity level, metabolism. But in this example, let's say this person needs 1,800 calories to reach their goals. So you can eat 1,800 calories every day, Monday through Sunday, perfectly disciplined. Or maybe on some days, you have slightly more. Maybe on days you work out, you need a little extra recovery fuel, so you can boost that. But then you drop the other days a little bit. So long as you're averaging out to those 1,800 calories for the week, or per day for the week, you should be able to reach your goals. Or, ready to kind of wiggle room in, maybe you know that weekend you're going to want a little splurge, whether that's a splurge on calories or a splurge on foods that maybe make you feel a little meh some days. You just plan it in. That's fine. You moderate your calories through the week so you can have that planned treat day or two, but it still averages out. It still gives you the majority of the time healing. It still will get you to your goals. So as long as you end the week in a negative energy balance, you will see weight loss. As long as you have your gut healed enough, you can have those treats. Planned treats, mindset. When you think of it as a planned treat to enjoy, not a crash and binge day to feel guilty about, you go from anxiety and despair to predictable, consistent results. You hit your goals regardless of parties, weddings, family meals, outings, and socially distanced until no longer needed. So myth, you can only eat boring and bland foods to get results and you can never waver from the plan. No, fact, experts know you cannot achieve sustainable results without having some of those foods you love from time to time. Maybe for certain duration you have to restrict, use that willpower, but the goal is to get to that point where you can have wiggle room. Because food is fun. In our cultures, it is love, it is comfort, it is social interactions, it's part of making memories. So we want to rewire some of these habits, but not deprive people of these deeper connections for the rest of their lives. So myth, you do not need to stick on a FODMAPs diet for life. You do not have to just keep finding your trigger foods and reducing that list, because no, personalize, test, don't guess, find the root cause and fix it. If you can't get off that FODMAPs list, you haven't fixed the problem. So in the end, you truly can have your cake in moderation and eat it too, maybe gluten-free. So does that all make sense about how you can get to eating whatever you want any day of the week and still achieve your goals? So to recap, we covered the 3 biggest mistakes people make in trying to change their lives. 1, dipping in doubtfully and relying on willpower and a wish. So instead, start with that mindset hub, reprogram your psychology, and make lasting changes. 2, trying to follow cookie cutter food lists. And instead, no, get a personalized plan, get a personalized lifestyle and diet plan based on testing and individualizing to you and your life. Mistake 3, believing you have to be 100% all or none. So no, know how to ease off a program and enjoy any food you like at any time on the plan and still achieve your goals so long as it's balanced throughout the week. So having these 3 things works to give you a clear path to building that sustainable health and confidence. So now what? I know that's a lot. What are your options? So hopefully you're not feeling lost and overwhelmed, but instead kind of encouraged, empowered, and informed. So ready for the next steps? Option 1, take this challenge and run with it. Keep sticking to that food list, add in other lifestyle changes, and keep going. For some people, this little reboot may have been the perfect thing to kick you back into your healthy living. If you're pretty self-driven and can keep yourself accountable, then just keep it going for 30 days with like that 1 day a week of a little bit of wiggle room and see where you're at. And then eventually start to challenge in a little bit of those foods that we were avoiding. Maybe a little bit of dairy or a little bit of gluten if you want to, not required for healthy, happy living. And just see how you do. See, now that you've calmed down that cacophony, that noise in the body, what is your body telling you when you reintroduce those things? For others of you though, maybe you've been having more chronic issues, maybe you realize that there's something deeper to explore, or you need some accountability and some guidance and a little bit of hand holding, and you don't want to slide back to old habits. You don't want those quick foods or out of control portions, the pain, lethargy, GI issues, whatever it was you were trying to get away from in the first place. So option 2, you're ready for change. You are ready for this next level version of you. You can say, I've had enough. I am sick and tired of being sick and tired. I feel trapped in my body. I am tired of feeling at war with my body. I am tired of not losing weight, even though I feel like I'm working really hard. I'm stressed about constantly starting over and never getting anywhere. I'm stressed about not knowing what's safe to eat. It is time for a win. I need answers and I want to feel like me again. Because the truth is, you ultimately have control over the things you do. But sometimes you think you're doing everything right and you just need a little help and personalization to your plan. If you learn some new options, new paths, new possibilities over this week, then grab that and keep going. But don't let this just be another week where you learn something and then you walk away from it and you backslide, where you never make that progress and you go backwards. You never fully utilize the power that you have learned that food has on the body, food and lifestyle. Take that power and go where you want to go. So now if you want proven results and you are looking for some help, I am offering up some time to everyone who went through this challenge, no matter how well you stuck to the protocol. And maybe that's where you learned you need a little more accountability. So there's obviously no pressure whatsoever for you to take advantage of it, but it is my job and it is my passion to put it in front of you and help people thrive and feel better, live up to their potential. And then it's your job to decide whether or not you want to take it. So I am going to set aside some time to talk to members of the Empowerment Challenge and see if I can help you further. So what we would do is we talk for roughly 45 to 60 minutes and kind of map out an action plan. We look at where did you come from? What's your health history? What diets have you tried? What's been ruled out? What has worked? What hasn't worked? And where do you want to go? What is that end goal? The short-term and the long-term goals. What's stopping you from getting there? And how can we get you over that? And use the approach we talked about today to accelerate, personalize, and sustain your results. So if you want to build this out hands-on together, and then only if I'm confident that I can actually help you get the results that you want quickly, my goal is usually to get people towards a realistic set of goals, but within 10 weeks, to really have massive changes within 10 weeks. So at that point, if it looks like that's a good fit, I'll invite you to become one of my new clients, but I absolutely don't make guarantees that I will extend that invite because we do both need to agree we're a good fit. And I do need to be confident it's the right program for you. I don't want it to not work and you to walk away thinking, I failed you, the program failed you, or that you failed you yet again. Like that's no good for anybody. So there's zero pressure on you to do anything, totally up to you. But it could be a very pivotal 45 minutes of your life, maybe some of the most important time that you spend on your health this year. But to be upfront, my expectation, if you do want to do this, you must be committed to change. I can help you reboot your eating and habits, dig into your personalization, get into the psychology, make lifelong success, but you have to be willing to change and work for it. You have to actually be willing to sacrifice for this, like actually want this, because I do find a lot of people want the reward, but then they will resist the sacrifices that they have to make. They will resist the change. They kind of have that mindset going, I don't wanna, fine. And it's like this arm crossed pout. So I don't work with people like that. You have to want to do this as well. A lot of people like the idea of the results, but they don't want to get uncomfortable to make it happen. We can work together and greatly accelerate your progress, and I will help you along the way. We talk every week. I'm available by text almost every day if there are problems, if you need check-ins, and I am committed to helping you adapt your lifestyle, but you have to be committed as well, even if it means making some sacrifices or getting out of your comfort zone sometimes. So the Empowered Healing Program and the Personal Immunocomb Diet Plan are two similar programs. One just has a lot more accountability and lifestyle work, but they work best for people who tend to score 50 or higher on that symptom scoring sheet and want to drop to at least half of that. But it can be adapted for lower numbers as well. As we saw with Ronnie, she started at a 36 and still had great progress just working on the diet. So if you're looking to drop your symptom score, shed weight in the process in less than 90 days, then that might be a good program for you. Now, I like this quote from Mark Manson. He asks, how do you choose to suffer? So kind of read this. Sometimes I ask people, how do you choose to suffer? These people tilt their heads and look at me like I had 12 noses. But I ask because that tells me far more about you than your desires and fantasies, because you have to choose something. You can't have a pain-free life. It can't all be roses and unicorns. And ultimately, that's the hard question that matters. Pleasure is an easy question, and pretty much all of us have similar answers. The more interesting question is the pain. What is the pain that you want to sustain? I know it sounds kind of weird, but consider, no choice comes without some sort of change or consequence. There are always trade-offs for staying where we are, and there are always trade-offs for moving forward. We all are juggling so many plates, whether that's work, kids, exercise, finances, meal prep, hobbies, appointments, sleep, and we have to choose what we prioritize within our 24 hours. We all do. And every choice we make to do one thing means we're choosing not to do another. And we always have to accept whatever challenge or reward that brings. Every choice comes with a sacrifice. Again, you are choosing option A over option B every time. And you just have to evaluate, just dig and make sure that you're choosing the things that truly align with your long-term goals. Do you choose convenience foods over health? Or are you choosing convenience foods so you can go to bed earlier? Might be. Do you choose late night TV over going to bed? Do you choose a known pain over unknown change? The devil you know is less intimidating than the devil you don't know. Do you drag yourself early to the gym instead of sleeping in, knowing that the reward is the workout? Do you say no to treats, even though that can be uncomfortable, offered by the family, instead of continuing the cycle of snacking? So like everything, every person's answer is personal to them, and it is different. And it depends on what you need to or are choosing to prioritize at that time. But if you want to choose an unknown to you, very known to me, proven path, time and again with client after client, you want this proven process and you want to have some skin in the game in order to get fast, incredible results. If you are sick of your current pain and maybe you're ready to get a little uncomfortable with a new plan while learning your habits and where your wiggle room can be, if you think that sounds good for you, what you're going to do, I use a HIPAA compliant portal called gethealthy.com, and I will link below this video how you can schedule a strategy session. So this is that free, no charge, 45 to 60 minute session where it's kind of like a friendly interrogation to make sure I can help you and that we want to work together, both of us. From there, we can then look at the appropriate plan and package to get that going. But I'll put the link below. You can click it, set the strategy session, pick a time that works for you, and we'll get to it. And then if we do decide it's a good fit, and I'm sure that I can help you reach your goals, I work one-on-one with clients and we work to create the elements that we talked about today. And a thing that we didn't get to, and all the things we didn't have time to get to. It's impossible to get through everything about building this personal transformation. That's why, depending on the program, they run 6 to 10 weeks typically. So I can't get through that in this workshop. So there's more we can talk about on that call. So if you're someone that I know for sure I can help or have high confidence, we can talk about that. And if not, I will still point you in some other directions, maybe give you some ideas and clarity on other plans, maybe point you to another health professional or some books or websites or resources to try to help you get where you're going, whether it's health or fitness. Ultimately, either way, my goal is to try to at least get you in the right direction towards feeling your best. Because let's be real, if that's not with me, that's okay. Neither of us is going to benefit from it not being a good fit. So I do genuinely want to be sure that I can help. Remember, it's easy to use willpower to get started when motivation is high, but those are emotions. Keeping that momentum going and staying disciplined even when motivation wanes, that's the hard part. Your body is meant to be healthy. You just need to find the root causes and optimize your habits. Remember, there are answers. So wrapping that all up, what we've gone over, you need to know how to create a new identity with new beliefs. Stack your habits to build momentum of your potential. Personalize your plan and needs. Dig for answers. Test, don't guess. And create nutritional flexibility for those sustained results. So that is what you need to do. And if you want to do it and you want my help in doing so, now is the time to make the most of that momentum that you've made from these 7 days and keep moving down that runway. Let that plane take off, cruise to your final destination, and learn how to hang there where you can have all those goals, everything you want. And if that's what you want and you are ready for that, click the link to schedule your strategy session. So thank you so much for joining. If you have more questions, hit me up on Facebook, join the Thrive Facebook group, and I'll make sure to get back to you. Remember, I'm going to kind of close up the challenge soon. So grab any friends you have from there, get any forms you want. And for now, get that call booked before the spots go, and I will talk to you soon. Everyone, have a great night.